Hello, my Gemini family. I'm Chris. Welcome to your May reading. All right. April was an interesting month. We're kind of getting grounded. We went through a difficult retrograde period with our planet Mercury in retrograde. And I think right now we're collecting ourselves and we're trying to figure out what's next and where we're going, right? As I was shuffling, the Two of Swords and Judgment fell out, right? So let's go ahead and get into our little intro here, and then we're going to jump into our reading, Gemini. All right, y'all. So how was April for you? For me, I've kind of found it to be very grounding, right? And this is what I'm feeling here with these two cards popping out right off the bat, right? The Two of Swords, it's like we've been collecting ourselves mentally. I feel like a lot of Geminis have been learning in the past month or so. With all this chaotic energy, I really believe that Mercury retrograde affects us like way more than any other sign. Even Virgo, who's also ruled by Mercury, because I think they just have a natural sense of groundedness. And us, we're just already so flighty and so already in the air, and our energy is already all over the place as it is. And you throw in a retrograde, and that's gonna like fuck us up. But what's interesting, Gemini, is that I feel like coming out of it, we're getting like almost uncharacteristically serious, but in the best way possible, right? To me, the Two of Swords with Judgment is sort of like us preparing for the next phase of our lives, us reflecting on where we've been and who we are and who we want to be and what we want to accomplish, what our skills are, what our talents are, right? Because I think we all perceive that like there are big things coming. I think we're really preparing hard for our season, right? I think that we are like almost shedding a skin is what I feel. Getting rid of an old identity. This could have something to do with the fact that Saturn's been watching us from Sagittarius for the past 2.5 years. And now this is our first solar return where Saturn is not like breathing down our backs. In fact, that motherfucker's in retrograde right now. To me right now, that feels like we're taking an exam and the teacher left the room for 10 minutes and it's like a fucking free-for-all. Now, like the good kids, the studious kids aren't going to cheat. They're not going to talk to each other. They're not going to look at their notes, right? But like everybody else is, especially, you know, because we were too busy like hanging out, talking, partying, or whatever to study. I'm just telling on myself right now. But well, no matter what, Gemini, this is really promising as like you know why I think it's serious? You know why I think it's somber? I think it's because we know we're hearing this bigger voice. We're hearing this bigger call. We're feeling ready for like taking center stage in a new way. In our own lives and being present for ourselves. It's almost like we learned how to ground ourselves in ourselves, right? We've learned through this tumultuous weather how to just hunker down mentally, how to control our thoughts better, how to just make ourselves not feel bad. Like slipping into a bad place and you just pull yourself back out. I'm not going there. I'm not slipping into that negativity. I'm not slipping into that insecurity. I'm going to validate myself. I don't need outer recognition. Of course, outer recognition makes you just feel so much more bomb, doesn't it? But I think what's happened for us is that we kind of learn to depend on ourselves. We kind of learn to depend on the power of our own minds, to know what's right for us, to trust our judgment, to trust our intuition, to follow our own advice. So here's what we're going to do, Gemini. I'm going to pull a couple cards to summarize April and what lessons we learned there, what energy we're bringing to May, and then we'll go deeper into these cards for May, right? As you can see, I'm using a new deck here. It's the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot. I think I used it with you guys last month. I only did like 2 or 3 videos last month, but and also I'm using these rune cards at the end of the reading. I'll put the descriptions of both of those cards in the description underneath this video. Also, I've repriced my personal readings. They're a lot more affordable, a lot more options. So if you guys want to take a look at that as well, that's in the description below. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into Aries. Gemini energy for April. You know why I said Aries? I really feel like Aries energy like snapped us all the fuck out of it, right? Like it really brought it, especially Gemini, right? If you guys were like me, Pisces season was rough and emotional and weird. And Aries season was like a kick in the ass. You know, that energy works really well with us. We vibe with that Aries fire. And so I think that like we did kind of collectively like get our asses kicked out of it. So April, yeah, you see, it's still a dark moon. We're still figuring ourselves out, right? But what I like here is like, and I haven't even pulled the other cards for April yet, is like, do you see like a sort of a transition here? I think it's gonna look this way. From being within. To me, the Two of Swords is inward and reflective, but it's also like right before action is about to be taken, because swords are action, right? They're not just sitting there idly, right? They're preparing for their next move. You can even see in the image, it's moving into a first quarter moon there, right? And then of course the judgment, the rising up. So April saw us really going within. April saw us really collecting ourselves, really getting grounded, really like taking all those difficult emotions we were feeling and making them productive, channeling them into something of real worth and real value. That's why I said when we're getting serious, right? Like it's not like we're not going to play or have fun anymore, but we kind of realize like more of like that need to balance it out. And I think Taurus season is making us like hustle a little more, put more energy into our business, put more energy into our material world, so that come Gemini season we can relax and we can play and we can be ourselves and we can party because it's our birthday. See, this to me is like Ace of Cups, like just like an emotional cleansing, like an emotional purging, like gross stuff coming out of your heart. Right? This could be like moving on a little bit emotionally from a past relationship or a past hurt. This could be even just the resolve to move in, right? These two cards together are very healing of the heart and the mind, in my opinion, especially the heart. I think that maybe we learned how to overcome a lot of our insecurities, or at least how to deal with them, right? And still be functional. We learned how to deal and face a lot of our fears. Again, are we perfect? Are we just like, I mean, yes, but are we not hurt? Do we not carry baggage? Of course not. But I just think we learned how to carry them with more grace. Maybe some of us have even been, some of us, myself, have been getting a little angry, a little aggressive. When I have like a tiger on my shirt, like right next to the Queen of Wands, like a little aggressive. That's what I'm feeling with the Queen of Wands. Like it's power, yes. It's like, but right now she's just screaming to me like, oh, this fiery, like, cross me, I'm gonna fuck you up. Stand in my way, I'm gonna knock you the fuck down. It's this sort of necessary selfishness, right? Because look, it's not meant to be cruel. With these other cards, it's like almost protective of your energy, of your heart, of like the work that you've put into the world. Protective of who you are, right? It's like Gemini's kind of getting to the point where we're not gonna let other people fuck with our heads anymore. We're not gonna let other people bring us into an emotional state that we don't want to be in. We have control, we have power. We've learned how to use some of that like productively. Like anger can be productive. Anger teaches us how to create boundaries, and anger can also be super fucking motivating. Notice how like lots of people get skinny after they break up? Like revenge buy, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just an example of of how that becomes fuel. And it's not just angry fuel though. I think like the feeling good part of it too. It's like I want to protect that. I'm starting to feel glimmers of hope and happiness, and I'm starting to feel more like myself. I'm not letting anybody interfere with that. Because we're going to be brand new. We're making our lives what we've always wanted them to be. We are on the path to fulfilling our dreams. We're on the path to fulfilling our goals. Like, I feel like big fucking magician energy here, right? With just like, close your eyes, Gemini, and you can make whatever you want happen. All right, so let's look at some more central situations here for Gemini for the month of May. Seven of Cups. I think this speaks to like that little bit of scattered energy I was talking about before. But this is us, like, I pulled this for Libra recently, and for them it's like more, it felt more of like the delusion, but also for them too, like just having options, right? Like figuring out where you want to invest your energies, figuring out like what it is that you want. Sorry about that. Where were we? Seven of Cups. Figuring out what we want. Making like deliberate choices. Right? To me also though, Gemini, this is a little bit of an acknowledgement of like all the different gifts that we have, right? Of all the different things we have to offer. Last month I talked a little bit about the extremes of Gemini, right? And that you don't necessarily have to have perfect balance, but you have to know how to navigate back and forth a little bit, right? That's our nature. I don't think there's ever going to be a Gemini who's like perfectly poised in between extremes, even though that's like a goal to aspire to, right? But it's idealistic. It's not realistic. The best that we can do is learn how to jump back and forth, I think, is to learn how to, sorry, I'm like fussing with this. I moved it and then now it's all over the place. Is knowing how to navigate the different elements of ourselves. Learning that like one dream is not that different from the other parts of us, right? One part of us is not that different from other parts of us. One dream isn't necessarily mutually exclusive from achieving another. You know, I think what the thing with Gemini is like, when you get to a good place, when you get to a stable, like secure place as a Gemini, I think you start to see the person behind the dualities, right? I've been thinking about this in terms of like my interests, right? Like how I'm a writer, and then I also do tarot, and then I also have these other jobs. I mean, like I have a day job and I have hobbies and all this stuff, and it's like it feels on the surface like all these different directions. But when you get to it, all of them are just parts of me and expressions of me. And me doing this doesn't take away at all from anything from me doing that, right? We don't know how to just put ourselves into one box. So I remember I went to this reader once who said like the challenge of Gemini is learning how to make all the different parts of you work together. I really don't think it's about working together, but collectively working in our best interest. This part of you is interested in the best interest of this part of you, right? It doesn't have to be some weird fusion monster of like all these different parts of us. I mean, people think we're monsters, but that's just because they're jealous, right? Because they don't have all of these options. They don't have all these different talents and abilities and skills. So accept like be proud of the multifaceted nature of our sign. Be proud that who cares if you're a jack of all trades, master of none. That means you can do a lot of cool different things, and you're an interesting person, and you have a lot to talk about, and you can get different conversations with lots of different kinds of people and fit into different scenes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Let's see more of what's going on for Gemini May. Okay, so I feel like there is going to be a little bit of isolation this month. I feel, but like in a good way, right? Because to me right now, this Five of Pentacles is like addressing the financial holes in our life, right? I think last month I talked a little bit about getting serious about business and stuff like that. I feel like I don't think it's reclusive. I don't think it's like antisocial, but I think it is a little bit more self-serving. Gemini might find themselves this month a little bit more able to say no, a little bit more able to pull themselves back from other people and other people's desires and say, yo, I got things to do. Whereas a few months ago, you could have a to-do list and your friend says, hey, let's go grab a drink, and you're like, there, right? This month in May, you might find us being like, no, I have real work to do. I'm trying to build a YouTube channel. I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to make this painting. I'm trying to fix up my house. I'm trying to even just save my money because I want to go on a trip next month. This to me is I'm seeing these cards very positively, and I know you guys don't like expect me to be just blowing smoke up your ass. I'm getting like a really inspired element here. Like all of this stuff that's on the surface negative is us healing, right? It's us purging. You know, it's like when excuse the gross metaphor, but it's like when pus comes out of a wound. It's like good. That means like all the gross shit is coming out. Yeah, it's gross and it looks bad, but it means that there's healing happening. Right? Staying in to save your money doesn't mean you're a broke scrub. It means you're trying to not be a broke scrub anymore. You know what I mean? Investing in different hobbies and interests doesn't mean that you're scatterbrained. It means that you have like a wide range of interests and you're developing range in yourself. Right? So I do think the warning here though is to spend time like actually on finances, paying attention to debt, paying attention to, I'm like looking at myself while I say this because I'm like scolding myself, especially about like the debt and stuff, right? Like really getting focused on making sure that, like, to me right now these just look like holes in a bucket where like things are leaking out. And you want to like plug up those holes this month, Gemini. You want to make sure that you're financially secure and financially stable, so you can build your business and like be happy that it's like doing well, and you don't have to worry about like all these like collectors calling you or whatever. You know what I mean? What else do we got here? King of Wands. So we got from the Queen of Wands to the King of Wands, right? In April into May. I think that this is a little bit of a leveling out of what I said was maybe here anger, or might have been aggressiveness, which might have been lashing out. Here there's almost like taking that same fire energy and bringing a new level of maturity to it. Remember how I said like you can channel this productively? This is like the person who's learned how to channel it productively, who can still be fierce and ruthless and aggressive, but with purpose, with his eye on the prize, with a desire to attain expertise in his life, in his interests, right? Who knows how to draw boundaries for like the greater good, who's full of confidence and security. Gemini, I feel like by the end of the month, we're going to be really feeling a new sense of confidence and a new sense of like accomplishment that's like rooted in real world accomplishments. I think that the King of Wands coming after the Five of Pentacles really shows like us conquering this. These feelings of loneliness, these feelings of being without, especially if you're feeling without financially. Or like you don't mesh with a certain community that you want to be a part of, right? We're handling it. We're really coming into our season like inspired to be our best. So let's start pulling some outcome cards. Knight of Cups, chasing our dreams, making things happen, romance. We have Venus in our sign right now until like mid to late May. That's us being at our flirty, fun best, most fun best, right? Flirty, fun best. Flirtiest, whatever. Shut up. Don't make fun of me. No, but this is like, it takes a little bit of the edge off of the King of Wands, right? Like maybe we did have to be really serious coming into our season. We really did have to sacrifice and be tough with ourselves and our friends and make boundaries and all that. But we find ourselves feeling good. We find ourselves, all of this work, we don't get stuck in this like heavy fire energy. We get back into this place of romance and love. If you have a water sign in your life, especially a Pisces, they can be figuring big into your life this month, right? I think this is more so for people who have already an existing romantic connection to somebody or something. I see it growing, right? Because we're not talking Page of Cups, who usually is like an offer of love. We have the Knight of Cups, where things are already in motion and moving. So if you've been in a career field, you're going to see it move forward. If you're in a relationship, you're going to see it grow. Whatever you're already kind of invested in emotionally and creatively, you're going to see progress. Now, for those of you who are still trying to figure out what you're doing professionally, or trying to look for like someone to date even, right? This sounds stupid, but I get the feeling of romancing yourself. Remember how I started off talking about how we're finding grounding and validation in ourselves? This is like Gemini not being clingy. I mean, that's not usually how our nature is described, but we do tend to drift towards relationships. This is almost Gemini getting a better sense of how to just be good on our own if we're not in a relationship. No matter if you're in a relationship or not, either way, it's about learning how to not be codependent. It's about like learning like the strength of your individuality. And then how that feeds into the potential for a new relationship, the potential for your existing relationship to develop, the potential for a long-term relationship to find new romance and passion. But it's like rooted in yourself. Another outcome card. Nine of Wands. So I think that's why we have this King of Wands energy here, right? Because we have lots to tackle. We have a lot of time that we need to commit to things. We have a lot of resources that we need to commit to things. We might even be having people in our lives who are giving us a little bit of a hard time, who are, what I think honestly, seeing us here and almost like trying to get in the way. Like, I don't think people do that because like they're jealous or hateful or just, you know, want to hurt you. But I think that especially for people who aren't like doing so great, it's really hard to see other people doing so well. And then it becomes protective, and then you maybe need to rip someone apart a little bit, right? Geminis, do you ever feel like people just kind of hate on us? Like, I know like in the joking way, like, oh, don't date a Gemini, Geminis are crazy. But like in your real anecdotal day-to-day life outside of astrology, do you feel like people just, like a lot of people just don't appreciate you? They don't, like, I feel like they don't always appreciate how great we are. And I'm not like giving us a pat on the back, but I think that's why we started talking about like emotional purity and clearing our minds. Like, yes, our people, our friends and stuff can think we're great, but I really just feel like we can be very often misunderstood. very misunderstood. And I feel like there are going to be people who are going to be ready to just come at you over that, who are going to stand in the way of your progress just by even like beating up on you a little bit. So especially guys, if you're in a relationship with somebody and they're the kind of people who like make little digs and try to pull you down and like don't celebrate your success. I know in my relationships, I've had that problem. And it's like almost made me want to cry sometimes, because it's such a lonely feeling to feel like you're doing well and like you're accomplishing things, and the most important person, like your companion, your partner, or just like the closest people in your life, like just aren't happy for you. Like I'm almost getting a little emotional right now thinking about it. Like it's such a shitty feeling. You would think that you should be able to celebrate your greatness with the people who care about you, and sometimes with us that's not the case. But Gemini, what I'm going to say is all the lessons we've had these last few months about being grounded in ourselves, about handling our own thoughts and handling our own emotions, those are going to be put to use. We're going to really have to like rely on our... I'm going to do a video, I think, later this month on self-esteem and confidence and like the real deep down where like you don't need anything from anybody. We have to depend on ourselves a lot this month. We have to make sure that we are not, I said this to Cancer too, not in an adversarial relationship with ourselves. Refuse to beat yourself up. Refuse to internalize anything that other people say, right? Because with this guy here, he's sensitive, romantic, and imaginative, but he's also like can internalize things. That's one of the flip sides of being emotional and sensitive, right? And we're a sensitive sign. People don't think we are, but we're like little kids. Like our feelings get hurt very easily. We feel like maybe abandonment really easily. We feel betrayal really easily. I don't know about you guys, people always talk about Geminis being two-faced. And for me, the thing that makes me break a bridge, like we take a lot of shit, we take a lot of abuse, but the thing that I cannot forgive, and I'm dealing with this right now, and I've dealt with it from people in the past, the thing that just makes me like cut a person off is when they turn on you. Is when you told this person, you were open with this person, you were vulnerable with this person, you let them know about who you are, and you're open and honest, and then one day they're angry at you, so they throw that shit in your face. No. That's why I love we got the Queen of Cups here, right? So look what happens, guys. We start off with the Knight, we move through all this bullshit, and then where do we end up here? Look at the way she's just focused down on her own cup. She's enough for herself, right? And that doesn't make her lonely. She still has companionship. She still has friends. She still has love. She still has validation, like sex, whatever she wants. She still has those things, but she can also go back and just be stable within herself. So, Gemini, trust your instincts this month. Stay far the fuck away from people who bring you down in any way, shape, or form. Right? And really focus on building your heart up, building up. We started off like this reading with April with the Ace of Cups, and now we have the Queen of Cups. This is like an owning of ourselves, of our heart, of the health of our hearts. Air signs need love too, right? All right, guys, so last month I pulled these rune cards. I've been doing it for all the signs this month. And we'll just pull this as a last step in this reading to see where we're going from here, right? So these will also be in the description. They're the Witch's Runes by Nigel Jackson. And like I said, I use them in my private readings, so check out the links below in the description. So interesting, guys, right? We start off our reading with the Two of Swords, with this cards of duality. Psst! Get the fuck out of there. Sorry, my cat is drinking out of the sink. probably means I need to do my dishes, right? And then we end here with duality. This is Awaz. This is the rune of the horse. This is the rune about companionships and partnerships. This is like, I mean, Gemini. Do I need to say it? Do you see us there? I'm telling you, man, we're going into our season like guns blazing. Like ready to take over the fucking world. Remember with this rune though, it's primarily looking at healthy relationships and relationships that help build us up. But just like the Lover's card in the tarot, it also represents like inner stability, an inner balance. Like the healthiest relationships come when you're healthy within, right? When you're not projecting your bullshit onto other people, when you're not trying to get other people to carry your baggage, where you're not being codependent and you know, like not able to contribute in the way that you should be able to, right? Because you're just so like clinging to somebody else for validation and stuff, right? So Gemini, I think that this isn't normally a love rune to me, but again, if you're in an existing relationship, especially if you're in an existing relationship, no matter what the status or how long you've been together, I see a deepening here. I see it connecting to other people. Whether it's like gonna last forever or not, I feel like real connection, human connection, vulnerability, openness, honest communication, right? All right, guys, this was the last reading of the bunch. I'm really glad I did it. Like I just, I needed this for myself, right? I'm gonna go back and watch this like a couple times this month because I'm really feeling what's happening here for us. Anyway, Gemini, it's been a huge pleasure. For the May Geminis, happy birthday in advance. But like when we get to June, we're just gonna we're gonna be so ready, right? Take the time now, be patient, be hard on yourself a little bit, or be strict. Don't be hard on yourself, but be a little strict, be disciplined. Because I'm telling you, man, when the summertime comes around, like we're gonna be ready to just be the fucking life of the parties, right? All right, guys, I love you so much. You are a legit fam, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.